All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our green screen photography webinar. My name's Sean. I'm going to be your host today. We also have a few people in the chat. They'll post some links and stuff like that for you, and if you have questions, they can try to help answer it while we're doing this. Also, a couple things. We're actually using a new webinar program here, so I think we know what we're doing and everything should be fine, but if there is any glitches, I'll just apologize right now in case we have any little glitches, but it looks like we got it down, so I think it'll be good. And also, I guess we already had a couple questions. People were asking about following along with, like, in PhotoKey with us as we do this. Certainly don't have to. If you have it, you can try. It might be easier, though, just to watch it now, and then we also will have all the assets and the project file for you to try, so you can download it and you can try it out and play with it after the webinar. And we're also recording the webinar, so actually I think those work better than it has before for us, so we should be able to post it online and you can watch it again too. So I think that's it for the preliminary stuff, so let's just go ahead and get started. So I just want to cover first basically what our agenda is today, so what we're going to talk about. So some of the basics, just what is green screen photography for those people who haven't done it yet. Just a quick discussion on some of the equipment and setup for doing it. Go over kind of what makes a good green screen photo. We're also going to do a raffle and drawing, so we're going to give away some free software. Going to give away some freebies also. And then after we do that, we're going to actually get into the meat of the webinar and actually show you how to create stylistic photos in PhotoKey 6, and that'll be the main part of it. And then the last thing, we're going to also show some stuff with Photamate, the other piece of software we sell. And it's really designed for event photography. So we're going to show you some of the cool stuff it can do too. So the first part is, and just simply, what is green screen photography? So as you can see here, basically it's just a popular technique that replaces green screen background with any image. So it's basically as easy as you take a picture on a green screen, software removes the green screen, then you can place the people anywhere you want. As you can see from this picture, you stick them in front of a old haunted house, and it's like a cool little movie poster. And by the way, just so you know, we're kind of going to stick with a Halloween theme today, just because it's October, so a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing is kind of this Halloween fun stuff, and that's kind of just some really cool stuff you can do with Halloween. It's a fun holiday for this kind of stuff. So then we just want to go over real quick what are the advantages of using green screen over regular photography. One, it's fun, it's engaging, because you can just do anything you can imagine you can kind of create with green screen. As you can see from this one, the zombie poster that we did, certainly if you wanted to try to go set this up without doing green screen, it'd be a lot of work. You'd have to, go get somebody to make them up a zombie, find a cool looking forest, go out there at night and take the picture. So not as easy as just taking the green screen and then putting them on something like that. It's not very expensive to do it. Really, all you need is a green screen and a camera. We'll go in a little bit more of the types of green screens and cameras, but you can use very basic stuff now. It also means you don't need to go to a studio to do a cool fashion shoot or anything else, because again, as long as you have a green screen, you can put them anywhere you want and do really interesting stuff. And then, as I keep saying, options. It's anything you can imagine. If you can think about a place to put somebody in, then you're going to be able to find an image and do some cool stuff and put them anywhere you can think of. So the next thing I just kind of want to cover is kind of what kind of equipment you need. So first of all, camera, of course. And with that, it's as simple as you can use your phone, if that's what you have, or you can use your high-end DSLR camera. And of course, the higher end your camera, the better image you're going to get, but it's not necessary to do it. If all you have is a phone, that will work fine. Then of course you need some kind of screen, and there's multiple types of screens, but that's basically it. You need your green screen. And then you need some kind of lighting, and that can be anywhere from just shooting outdoors to the flash on your camera to a very high-end setup, which is possible if you want to do that. But again, you don't need it. Of course, you need a computer to do, and the editing software. My thing to think about there is like you don't need a very powerful computer nowadays. If you have one made in the last few years, it should be fine. Just make sure that it meets the requirements of the editing software, which, like I said, if you have a computer probably actually more the last 3 or 4 years, it's going to meet the requirements. And then, of course, you need backgrounds and overlays and stuff to put the picture of your people, something to put them on. And then that's about it. So I just want to cover now the editing software because there is more than the standard editing software. I mean, there's Photoshop plugins. There's a standalone ones which we'll cover today, like PhotoKey and Photamate. And then I just want you to think about kind of what to think about when getting that. It's like the quality of the key. So that's important in the software, how good it does the keying. And then the cost versus functionality. There is a lot of programs out there that do this, and there are some that are pretty cheap. You can get for like $20, $30. But most of the time when you spend that much money, you're just not going to get quite the goodest functionality or the quality of the key. So it's important to kind of balance that, because I know everybody's on a budget, but kind of balance that out, because if you get too cheap a program, it's just not going to do the job you probably like, and you're going to get frustrated with it. And also you want to think about ease of use. Most of these programs are pretty simple to use, and we'll, as you'll see today in PhotoKey, they're laid out pretty well and make pretty easy sense. But it's good to think about that when you're looking for what you want to buy. A Photoshop plugin is going to be more complicated just because it's inside Photoshop, which is a very powerful but very more difficult program. And the last thing you want to think about is how you're going to be using your software for just like kind of one-off stuff, like, you know, taking pictures of your family and friends and doing fun stuff like that. Or if you're really interested in doing larger events where you might have 100 people come through, and different software is going to help you do that better if you're having more people doing taking pictures of them. So then I just wanted to kind of cover really quickly. This is a software basically that we carry on our website, just the PhotoKey and Photamate software, and there are different levels of it. For PhotoKey, there's Light, and then Standard, and then Pro, and each of them, as you go up, they get more expensive, but they also add quite a few more features. And Pro is the version that actually also allows you to do more event-related stuff and things like that. Photamate is a new program that we've been carrying not too long now. It's a very powerful program. Its strength really lies in event stuff, and we'll show you at the end some of the cool stuff it can do. But it is extremely powerful. Does some really fun, cool stuff too. So then I just kind of wanted to go over the backgrounds and overlays. And actually, I apologize. I actually just forgot something. The stuff I just covered too. In the chat, I think they're gonna be sending you some links. This is some really cool stuff we have that just go over all the lighting, all the stuff I talked about, the lighting you need, the cameras. We have tutorials on YouTube. Yeah, that was already put in the chat. And I apologize, I forgot to mention that. They put it in there for you to take a look at, and they'll go into a lot of detail on the different types of lighting you can use and the different types of equipment to use and green screens and all that stuff. So that'll give you a really more in-depth look at that stuff than I kind of just went over now. So sorry about that. So I'm going to continue on. So the next step was just like the backgrounds and overlays you can get. And one, there's a huge variety. I mean, it's basically, as I keep saying, it's anything you can imagine. You can get things like stock packs, which is just basically, you know, images of like cityscapes and things like that. You can find those in a lot of different places that just stock photography of, you know, nature and things like that work great. You can get things from single image sites. So one of the most popular is iStockPhoto, and they literally have millions of photos that you can use for backgrounds and images. Of course, you can make your own. A lot of the stuff we'd sell on our website, we've actually made ourselves, just compositing different pieces of photos together that we take, that we get, and you can do that too. And it's not super difficult, and you can make some really cool stuff. You can also do like posters and magazines, like you see on this one. This is kind of like just kind of a fun little poster we did called Film Star. You can kind of create those and purchase those from our site and other places. And then actually and titles too. Actually titles you can do within the program, and titles you can make really fancy titles in other programs and then use them on top of your as overlays in your composite. So one other thing I just wanted to cover too is the lenticular flip photos. And this is something that Photamate does, and there's a few other pieces of software that do it. But they do some really cool stuff. They do basically morphing photos and 3D photos. And hopefully, I think the video that you can see on the side is working well for you. So I was just told also they're going to put a link to other samples in the chat so you can take a look at this stuff. But as you can see from that little animated GIF right there, basically the morphing photos is really cool, where it allows you to, you know, you have to print it out, of course, and you use a special lens, but as you twist it, you know, people turn into different things. So it's a really fun, cool thing. Photamate does a very good job of it, and it just requires any two images to make it, basically. Like I said, there's other programs that do it, but Photamate's the one we sell and the one that's really we've seen the most powerful one to do this pretty cool stuff. So next, I just kind of wanted to cover kind of what makes for a good screen picture. Just kind of go over the details of kind of how it works and what gets it right. So kind of things to think about is you want to light the green screen evenly. So you don't want any like harsh shadows or really bright spots on it because that can mess up the software a bit and have problems. The other thing is like you want to make sure the green screen is not sharp and focused, but your subject is. Sorry, something was popping up on my screen. Apologize for that. It's distracting me. So sorry. So you want the subject really, you make sure they're sharp, that they're in focus, because that'll help the software separate the person from the green screen. Another thing to think about is light the subject for the scene. This is kind of a cool thing to think about. If you kind of know what kind of background you want to use, and this is perfect for like Halloween, because most times with Halloween, you're going to want to do like harsher shadows because you can probably want to do darker, more interesting, fun stuff. So you want to think about maybe lighting your subject so they kind of fit the background you're going to use. Like if it's a dark forest or something, you probably want to light them not as bright and like that. So if you know what you want to do, that's fun to think about kind of how to light a person for what you're going to put them in. Doesn't always work right, and of course for event photography that's not going to work, but if you have the chance to do more creative like that, it's fun to do. And of course then don't wear green. That's a big one. I mean, if you wear green, basically the software isn't as powerful enough to really tell the difference between somebody's green shirt and the green background. And just the other one thing I just want to mention, considering all this stuff, is that most of the software now, though, is getting to the point that it's very powerful, and it's not as important as it used to be. You still want to try to get the best picture you can, but the software can, handle a lot of issues. If there happen to be shadows on or bright spots, usually the software does a good job of it. So try to avoid it, but don't worry so much about it that you're not going to. The software can't handle it. So do the best you can, but if not, the software's probably going to be able to handle it pretty well. So now, before we kind of get started and get really to the big part of the program, we just want to actually give away some stuff. So we're going to do a raffle, and I think the guys in the chat are just going to pick a few people, and they're going to win some prizes for us, I believe. What are we giving away again?
We're going to give away a Photamate Pro and PhotoKey Pro.
Okay, so I don't know, so if you didn't hear that over the mic, but we're actually giving away a copy of PhotoKey 6 Pro and Photamate Pro. So one person each will win those. So I think they're picking that out right now. They will also they'll send you a private message in the chat and to let you know you won, and then they'll just ask for your email so we can get you your stuff. So whoever wins that, congratulations. I'm not sure who that is yet. I'm sorry, who was that again? So Kate Smith is the winner of PhotoKey 6 Pro, and the winner of Photamate Pro will be Kurt Herzog is the winner of the Photamate Pro raffle. So congratulations, you two. Like I said, you're going to get a private message in the chat, I believe, so we can get your email and stuff so we can get you your free software. So congratulations, guys. For everybody else, also, we're also giving this code, as you see on the screen right now, the Web20. If you use that in the store for the next week, basically you'll get 20% off anything in the store. There are a few things in the store that are 50% off and stuff like that right now that the 20% won't work on, but there's only a very few things out there, so most stuff you can get an extra 20% for attending the webinar. And then the last thing, everybody in the who's attending the webinar today will send a free movie poster, basically, the zombie one that you saw, so we'll give a free version of that to you, and also a compositing pack, an intro pack, basically a bunch of backgrounds and stuff like that for you to play with and try out for stuff. So everybody will get those, and we'll get those out to you. So that's all for the intro part. So now we're going to get into the meat, and we're going to launch PhotoKey 6 here and kind of show you some cool stuff you can do with it. This is PhotoKey 6 Pro. And as I was talking about, as you can see on the left-hand side, as I mentioned before, when you couldn't see it, you have all your different settings. And when you click on each setting, as you see on the right-hand side, brings up all the tools in that category, basically. So we'll kind of start going over that. So let's start. Again, we're going to go import our background, start with that. And like I said, we're using the zombie poster. And as I was trying to show you before, and the canvas settings, you can set it to any type of print size you want. And basically, this is just the canvas. So this is, you have to get your backgrounds and stuff to fit into what kind of size you want. So you can do all these different print sizes and any custom size you want. And I set it as the background. So the canvas is the size of the background image, the poster you see here. So then the next step is to import our picture of our person. So we're going to bring in this one here. This girl with a sword. Kind of think that works pretty good for our this kind of zombie poster. So kind of the next step I like to do is go to the keying. So this kind of is what starts to get. So this one's already in fairly good shape, but there's a few issues with it. With this one, the green was slightly different than what PhotoKey is expecting. So I am just going to use the picker tool here to pick the green color. You can see that already cleaned that up a lot. Next step is I always like to go to the map view under the chroma key setting, and what this shows is the difference between the black. Everything that's black is being removed, keyed out. It becomes transparent. Everything that is white is being saved. That's what you can see. So as you can see, this image is already pretty good. There's a little stuff on the black here on this side, and her sword's actually a little gray, so it's not. There's a little transparency. Anything that's gray is actually harshly transparent. So you see there's a little transparency here. So the tools to use to fix that up a little bit are these under the matte settings, the clip background and clip foreground. The clip background is what makes the black, basically makes the black blacker, and that's what you're trying to do. So I'm just going to slide that just a little bit, just to get rid of that little, there's a little thing up here in the corner. And so that cleaned that up, and I'm going to slide the white just a little bit, just to try to get the sword a little bit cleaner. And that's pretty good, because actually there's other tools that'll help kind of clean that up a little more too. So let's get that there. So that's looking pretty good. This is a good picture. So we're going to go back to the results settings so we can actually see our image. The other step I like to do is just use the erode tool. And what this does is it just removes a few pixels from the edge of your person. I'm going to just slide up. As you can see, if you go way up, how much it cuts off. So this is a good tool to use. Just use a few pixels. It helps just clean up the edge a little bit by removing any kind of weird stuff that happens on the edge. The next one is Alpha Blur. And this does actually the same type of thing. Again, let me just slide it all the way up to show you what it does. It basically starts blurring and kind of creates this glow around it, but it's blurring the edges. So again, it's a really nice thing to do. Put a very low level, under 5 usually, and it just, again, that it now blurs kind of the edges just so they're not as harsh as they were before. The crop tool, this is actually, I just want to show you real quick. This can be very useful if you have like stuff inside the photo. Like there's a light in the background or something strange. In this one, there isn't anything, but what it allows you to do is basically just crop in. As you can see, it draws this line, and everything inside the crop is removed. So, of course, you don't want to do that because, as you can see, it start cutting her off. But if you have anything off to the side or something that ends up in the picture, that's a really easy way to get rid of it. So for this image, the last thing that really needs to be done on the for the green screen work is the spill suppression tool. And basically, this is what's going to help the sword, which actually has a little, because it was shiny, so a little bit of the green was getting on it. That's why it was kind of looking the way it did. So the spill suppression tool is what helps kind of clean that up. It always defaults in PhotoKey 6 to spill simulation, which is supposed to be a very powerful tool to do it. But for the most part, it's interesting. I find that the extended spill method, it usually does perfectly fine. So I almost, I'd say most of the time when I do this stuff, I use the extended one and see how that works first. And if you have any problems, you can try using the spill simulation. But as you can see, let me just turn it off real quick so you can see. So there's the sword without any spill suppression. You can see now it's a very strong green tinge to the sword. So turn the spill suppression back on, and now it's kind of the color. It's supposed to be kind of the silvery gray color. And the last thing, actually, sorry, in the key tool that I forgot about was the light wrap. And what this does, this adds basically light on the back to look like it's kind of wrapping around the person. Let me just again, I think turning it way up kind of really shows you what it does. So you can see it adds a glow around the person. This one actually works quite well on this one because there is, as you'll see, actually, I need to move her actually a little bit. We're going to, actually, let me adjust this a little bit because this will actually work better when I get her size correctly because it actually looks at the background to help with the glow for the light wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to position. I'm going to shrink her down a little bit, move her down here a bit. I think that I shrunk her a little too much. Let's bring her back up just a little bit. Right, yeah, right in there a bit. Kind of want her more in the foreground than that. So let's try right in there. So that looks pretty good. So let me show you. Let me go back to the keying tool. And again, I'll do the light wrap because you can see, do you see where the light is basically in the back? There's that glow in the background. As you can see where that is, when I turn up the light wrap, it's kind of becoming like over her arms right where the glow is in the background. So this one actually works great, particularly for this picture. It helps in a lot of pictures, but in this one it works really great because there's that glow. So I'm turning it up so it looks kind of like that glow in the background's kind of coming over the top of her a bit. And that just starts really adding to the, integrating the feel of the picture so it looks like she's actually in the image and not just kind of stuck on top of it. So then the next thing for this one we want to work on is basically starting to blend it all together and kind of create that really cool stylistic looking image. So basically we need to start with her. So the first thing I've noticed with her is that she's not the color of the background. The background's kind of has that greenish bluish tinge to it for that feel. It's nighttime, and that's the color of it. So what we want to do is kind of bring her more to that color too. So we're going to use the color balance tools, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn down. This is kind of more of an art. There's not. I mean, there is science behind it, but you just kind of want to drag these things just to kind of get the feel that you want. So you just kind of get it to where you feel looks good. So what I'm trying to do is just kind of get her more of a, because again, if you take it, let me show you, if you take it way down, then it starts to really kind of get that color. I think that might be just a little too far, so I'm coming up just a little bit. So again, let me show you without it. So you see how red she is compared to the background. So with the color balance tools, it starts kind of bringing it in a little bit more to that same color. The next one is the levels tool. This is level is the same as basically contrast. So basically the darks get darker and the lights get lighter. Usually that really helps most images kind of make them kind of stand out more, and it's a nice look. High contrast looks pretty cool. Levels just gives you a little more control over how much black and how much white you got. So I almost do this to almost every photo. So as you can see, so you turn it way up, how dark she gets. So we're going to just kind of, again, you just want to move it until you get kind of the feel you want for it. So we're just kind of go about there. I do want this one pretty dark because the background is kind of a dark feel to the entire thing. So I want her pretty dark. So let's get that there, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to turn down the saturation. This is the amount of color in the image. So as you can see, if you turn it up, how red she gets. If you turn it down, how it basically takes all the color out. So again, I just kind of want to take it down just a little bit. Not a whole lot, but just a little less saturation. I think that kind of brings it all to starts bringing, again, the image together a little better. Let's see. Now for this one, this is starting to look pretty good. So you also have control of adjusting all these foreground colors and the background colors. So in the background, actually, I just still want this image just a little darker. So again, I'm going to go to the levels and bring that down just a little bit more, so it's just a little darker. So start getting in there. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. So that's getting pretty close. That's starting to get where I kind of like it. Now there's a few more tools that I like to use that'll help kind of even tie it in more. But the first thing I want to show you is just we're going to go to the overlay setting because this is a movie poster. So we're going to add in an overlay, which is our credits. So we have all these on all of our movie posters. That's what we do. And you can make your own too and use these as overlays. So basically the overlay we just adding in, kind of like you see on any movie posters, all the credits for the movie. So that just kind of adds, this actually is pretty cool because it does add to the atmosphere of the entire poster. It looks now actually like a real poster. So that's looking pretty good. So the last thing I want to show you with this image is we're going to go to effects. And the effects are cool in how they work is they basically apply a look to the entire image. So it applies to the foreground, the background, and everything. So this really can help really tie the image together because it's applying the same effect to everything. So it starts bringing it together. Bleach bypass is a cool one. I'm just going to go over and show you some of what these do. Bleach bypass is really cool. And in fact, it desaturates it. It kind of brings it makes it very contrasty. And again, all these you have control over how much you want how much power you want to do. So you can slide it down so you just get a little bit of it. For this image, I really like bleach bypass is a fun thing to use, but for this one, I'm not. Actually, for this image, I don't think it really works as well. I'll show you what I really liked on this one. Focus blur is really cool, that it just allows you to pick an area where you want the focus and everything else is blurred out. So if you just kind of want to focus on her face, as you can see, everything else gets kind of blurred out, which is kind of a cool thing to do. And of course, you can adjust how much blur, how much area is blurred or not blurred. Another kind of cool thing you can really work with. And vignette is this one doesn't probably need the vignette so much, but what it does is it kind of makes a circular shadow area around the outside. You can select, and again, you have complete control how big it is. So if I could just go bold, you can see how it gets dark around the edges, and normal's a little less, and light is very small, which you can't even really see on this one because kind of actually the shot is already vignetted without using this tool. Then I wanted to show you, this is the one I want to do to this one actually because I think this is really cool, is the tint tools. And basically this just adds an overall look to the image. So it starts with, you have sepia, you have black and white, and you have all these different other colors. So basically just adds kind of a color tint over it. And again, you have the control of how much strength you want. So in actually this image, I really thought the bronze or sepia really, and turn it down a bit so it's not as strong, kind of really add to the look of this photo. So there's the bronze one, and there's a sepia one. And when I kind of did that to it when I was playing with it before, it kind of really gave me that feel of like the original Night of the Living Dead type thing, because now it kind of looks like that old kind of beat up 70s style thing. So I thought that just kind of added a really cool look to it. So I'll show you without it. That's the original, more color in it. It still looks really pretty cool like that, but I just think the tint just had kind of that one more step that just kind of was a cooler looking thing. So I was pretty happy. So that's kind of the basics of how to do start blending in an image. And I think that looks pretty good. As you see, the light wrap really kind of helps that glow. Looks like it's wrapping around her, like that's why it's called that. And it all starts blending together. So it doesn't really look like it's a green screen image per se. It looks like, you could have taken that picture out there. And that's kind of a fun thing to do with this stuff. And PhotoKey is very good at doing that, is allowing you to create those types of images that are very stylistic. So the next thing I wanted to show you, we're going to start basically a new image. So I'm going to create a new project. We're going to kind of start over. We'll just discard that. So what I want to show you, we've kind of done this before, and as you saw, that picture didn't need much work on it. It was actually, it was taken pretty well, the green screen. There wasn't much spill. It was a good photo for doing this, really easy to key out. So what I kind of wanted to show you this time is a picture we took that was not easy to key out. Again, I'm going to just start with bringing in the background. This is just a kind of a fun little castle thing we made for kind of a Halloween look. And then I want to import the foreground picture. And this is the picture that did not work too well. Actually, this is a picture we had some kids of a fellow worker who came out, her niece and nephew, and we asked them to do for some Halloween stuff, and don't wear green. We told them, please don't wear green, because that doesn't work. However, we didn't think about telling them not to wear basically a shiny mirror of an outfit for his night for green screen. So this became very difficult because we got tons of spill on it. We have our studio with all of our green paint, green floor, so green reflected all over this guy. But we actually were able to use it. We got a pretty good key out of it. So I kind of want to show you. Actually, it wasn't just him. I forgot, because I should mention, even because you see her dress has these frills at the bottom that was shining through. There's a lot with this picture that made it very complicated to do this photo. So actually, let me take off the keying button. And let me just turn off all the keying settings here so you can see. So you can see how much green is in it. You can see, if you look at his legs, just above the knees, you can basically, it is green. It's completely green. So let's go through kind of and see how close we can get. And I have to admit, we couldn't get it 100% perfect, but we got it good enough that it was usable. So let's go to our chroma key settings here. Let's go back to that. I'm going to again use the picker just because that makes sure you get the perfect green that was used, the exact green. So that always helps a bit. We're going to go to the matte settings again. So as you can see, this one is pretty bad. There's very little actual white, which means he's not, he's almost getting transparent himself. I mean, there's not much white there. So we need to start kind of working these clipping tools to get it. And I'm going to take the black up just a little bit. We're not going to do it too much because clipping the black also affects your subjects, not just the background, because there's green on him. It's going to start doing it. If I turn it up too much, you can see it gets even darker. Basically, now a lot of part of him is just completely see-through. So I just want to turn it up just a little bit to get a little bit of it. We're going to have to play with the clip foreground to really start getting it better. And that's getting there. So it's kind of a fine line between getting these two match. So we start getting something that's usable. If you bring them too far, though, it's not going to work too well. So you just kind of play with these things until you kind of get it where it starts working. So that's getting okay. I mean, like I said, it's not perfect. We never got this to be absolutely perfect, but it doesn't mean it's not usable. So let's get that back there. Again, we'll use the erode tool just a little bit. Again, take a few of it's more than just the edges on this one, but still the erode tool is helpful. And the alpha blurs helpful just to start kind of cleaning up a little extra on the edges. This is definitely one we want to do the crop because you can see there's that green glow in the corner there so we want to slide that in as much as we can to get that. Probably actually try to clip the background just a little bit more to get rid of that. There's that. And then what's really going to help on this one, again, is the spill suppression. That'll help try to clamp as much as that green reflection on him as possible. So let's go to the spill suppression. And actually on this one, the spill suppression, again, works okay. Like I said, I always like to check extended first because it seems to do a pretty good job. And again, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's getting pretty close. As you can see, so from going from that mess of an image that we had to this actually worked pretty good. So like I said before, it's good to try to get as best picture you can, but don't worry, don't get too worried about it because these programs can do some very powerful stuff and clean it up when it needs to. So you can see we got a pretty good image out of that, and he was almost completely green himself. So I wanted to show you a couple more things with this image just that are kind of fun to do that PhotoKey has. So let me actually just shrink this down so more to they fit more into the image itself. Say in there, right about in there, looks okay. And I'm going to go back to our filter setting. And I wanted to show you, this is a cool thing that's just in PhotoKey 6 Pro, is the shadow cast tool. This again kind of adds to just the integrating your image into the background because it just kind of makes it look like it's part. So what it does is shadowcast it helps you make a shadow. And you have choices between what side you want it on, so right or left or in the front. So we're going to keep it in right. And then all these handles here allow you to drag it around to kind of move it into the position you want, make it as long as you want, as short as you want. So maybe something like that, and then you can just change the amount of blur to it, so we can make it extremely blurry or no blur at all. So usually, again, this is just kind of whatever you think kind of just looks best when you're working on your photos. Just kind of play with it and kind of just do it until you get the feel for it. And again, the transparency is how much you want to see it. So is it very transparent, or do you want it like really black? And most of the time you kind of probably want it. So it's a little lighter, but just depending on the look you're going for, you can keep it really dark and you can make some really cool stuff. So again, let me just get this on that gets rid of that. So as you can see, just doing that little shadow cast thing really starts, I haven't done any color correction or anything like that, so it can do a lot more stuff to really start blending the image together. But that shadow cast makes it look like, they're part of it because there's shadows now on the road there. So just another fun, cool thing you can do with this stuff. Um, so that's all I kind of want to show you with that one, just how you can take a pretty bad image and really work with it. Yeah. So also, and then, oh, sorry again, I had a little thing pop up on my screen. So yeah, so of course, if you try to, like I said, try to think about that stuff when you're shooting. So you probably don't have that happen like that. So do your best to try to light it well and make sure no one's wearing mirrors as their outfit or green. But if it happens, it happens, and you can most of the time work with it and make something out of it. And this one, I feel we got a little lucky with this one because he was so very green when we did it, but it kind of turns out pretty good. So then there's one more thing I kind of want to show you in PhotoKey. We haven't covered yet. So again, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to change the background on here. We're going to bring in a different background. This is just kind of a fun composite we did. Kind of just a kind of a grave site on the ocean. It's kind of a fun little composite we created. Let me move them around. So what I kind of want to show you some of the other fun stuff you can do with it. Oh, so move the wrong thing. So let me get the foreground there. Let me move them. So I kind of wanted them more over here. They probably should be a little bigger, just to get them set up a bit like that. So what I wanted to show you then is just layers inside the program. I moved that just a little bit. Let's get that back where it belongs. Okay, background's back where it belongs. So I wanted to show you the layers you can do inside here. So basically layers are things you can bring in on top of it. So we actually have, for Halloween particularly, we have an image, props pack we call it. And basically it's a bunch of transparent props that you can throw into your background, so you just kind of add cool things to it. So let's add a few. So what you need to do is you add a layer, and then you actually add what's going to be in the layer. So we go down here, we click add, and we have a coffin from our props pack, so we're going to put that in. And then when you have the layer, you can move it around. You can size it how you want. So let's bring it up a little bigger. Probably not that big. So down in that area. So now we have kind of, it's a cool, fun thing to do is now there's just kind of start adding a coffin to it, which kind of makes sense with this, graveyard. So it's sitting there. So you can also change the scale. You can rotate it. You can flip it around. So there's fun things like that you can do with it. And we sell this stuff, but you can also make anything you want. They just have to be PNG files, so they have transparency, so they can sit in there. So there's one other one I want to add for this one that was kind of a cool thing. We created also for our Halloween props is a fog layer, which was just kind of fun. So basically, it's just kind of basically a layer of fog over the top that you can put. Now the cool thing also with this I kind of wanted to show you, which is fun. So this kind of throws the fog, kind of this fog layer over everything. But what you can do, so if you don't want them covered, you can change the layer position. So we can move the fog down. So we'll move it so it's underneath the foreground layer. So as you can see, now the fog's kind of more in the background. You can move it around even a little more just to kind of get in a different place so it looks like it's more behind out in the ocean or something. So now the fog layer is laying in the background, but it's not in front of the kids. So what you do is you can kind of create that depth to it by ordering your layers and kind of the correct wherever you want them, basically, to create that look you want. So that's just kind of a cool way to do that. Well, this one, I'm just going to do this again because this is kind of a cool thing you can do with the background. I just wanted to kind of color. So again, kind of create a more look. We'll just kind of darken it up a little bit more. Turn the saturation down a bit. Actually, I probably took the blacks up a little too high. So do that with a foreground and kind of change theirs. Darken them up a bit because we're kind of going for that foggy, dark feeling. Probably desaturate it a bit. And do the same thing with the background. We'll desaturate a little bit more so it's a little more gray. So it starts getting this kind of grayish feel to it since it is all foggy and stuff. And actually this is a fun thing too that actually I want to share in this is the depth of field tool. This is also only found in the Pro version of PhotoKey. What this allows you to do is kind of create, kind of makes it look like what a camera does when you take a picture. When you take a picture with a camera, especially like a higher-end DSLR, you can make sure like stuff's in the foreground, like your subjects are in focus, but anything in the background is out of focus. It's the way basically the way a camera works, and we have more video tutorials on how that kind of works, depth of field. But this kind of simulates it, so you can kind of pick and choose where you want the depth of field to be. So let's just put it, say, in there. Actually, I take that back. I kind of went more in the foreground, like right about there. So as you can see, it kind of goes up. So now kids are, but this kind of are in focus, and the background kind of starts getting out of focus. So it's kind of creates that look like it's actually, again, helps integrate it more together because it looks like they're more in the foreground and focus while the background isn't. Kind of like how a camera actually takes the image. And again, you can adjust the amount of blur you want it, and there's a whole bunch of different settings for that. So that's another tool that works on this one. Didn't work really like on the movie poster just because of the way it was designed. But on this image, doing a depth of focus, or depth of field, sorry, really kind of helps create that cool look on here. With this one, I'm just going to go finish this up real quick. So we'll just do like a cooler bleach bypass look. That's too much, but we'll just turn it down a bit. This is actually probably another good one where the vignette adds kind of the cool thing. So we'll just kind of vignette so it darkens the edges so the focus is more in the center of it, And then, I don't know, I don't think a tint really works in this one per se, but, this is all the stuff you can play with, and kind of get the look you want to do. And this is kind of all fun. So it helps to kind of create your overall look. So yeah, so that's it. So this one you could really, I hope I showed you kind of like what you can do with layers, and other things. So all three of those, hopefully I covered basically everything you can do kind of in PhotoKey 6 Pro with all the three different shots I showed you, like how powerful it does with the green screen, and and how many tools it has to kind of create that cool looking and blending images together, and make things that are kind of interesting and cool. One other thing that I think is fun to kind of think about that you can do with these things is if you kind of know what you're going to be doing, you can also have people pose so they kind of go with the background that you're kind of playing with. For Halloween, you can't always do it with the kids, but for Halloween stuff, if they're going to be in a zombie poster, maybe they're scared or or they're trying to run away from something. So you can get really creative. Don't know how many people you've seen it, but became very popular, a wedding photo with some people running basically from a dinosaur. So the wedding photographer composited a dinosaur into the wedding thing, and the wedding party's running away like they're terrified of the dinosaur. So you don't have to do it on that big a scale, but that's a really kind of fun thing to do, even with just one or two people, just to really think about what kind of thing you're going to put them into and really make them look like they're acting, that they're inside that image. And that's another simple thing besides color and stuff that you can do just to kind of make it look like it's a one fun image, and instead of just kind of slapping people's pictures on the background and having them on the background and there you go. So it's just really lots of fun, cool stuff you can do with it, and you can start with doing it, knowing what you want to use and setting people up for that, and and then once you bring it in, doing whole color correction tools and things like that to kind of really blend it all together. So that's it kind of for the PhotoKey 6 stuff. So the last thing I kind of want to show you for today is just kind of go over some things in the Photamate and show you kind of the things it can do. So hold on just a second. Let me get it open. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we were just actually getting, sorry, we're getting a question, and I am recording the webinar, so I'm hoping, hopefully everything will go smoothly with this, with the recording of it. Keeping my fingers crossed, so it should. It looks like it's running fine. So then we will post it like on our Facebook page, and we'll get it out there. So if you want to kind of watch it again, it'll definitely be available for you. So hopefully I unpaused the screen correctly this time and everything's working fine. So this is Photamate. This actually has some really cool stuff that it can do besides over kind of PhotoKey. Each one has its strength and each one has their weakness, of course. But this one, if you're thinking about doing event photography, this is kind of the program that's really what you might want to really think about using. It's really designed to work as automated as possible to do to bring in, I mean, literally thousands of people. This program is actually used in a lot of big attractions throughout the country. Doing I know they've done. This program's been used to create the like the MythBusters experience or whatever. So it's used so you can take your picture in it. So it's a very powerful program that's designed to automate stuff really well. Even if you're not looking to do specifically giant events, it does have some really cool features that actually PhotoKey just doesn't have. One thing it does is the layers. Like we showed you how to do layers in PhotoKey. Well, in PhotoKey 6, you only can use 6 layers. Photamate basically supports an unlimited amount of layers. And again, you can do the same thing as you can in PhotoKeys, where you can bring them back and forth, adjust them to whichever one's in front. It has tools that are more Photoshop-like too, where you have besides that, you can use and use this on the layers, and everything in there is erase tools and paintbrush tools, even cloning tools to do some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, having an unlimited amount of layers allows you a lot of options with it. Of course, this program also is the one that can do lenticular flip photos. Actually, that kind of view is up here, right here. As you can see at the bottom, how it works. It's very simple. It's just setting the 2 images. The original image, would be on this picture, her, and then the second image would be whatever you want, a skeleton, a zombie, anything you want. You just set each image for it. I would show you how to do it, but it doesn't actually come out real great on a webinar. And there's a tutorial we'll put on the chat so you can really see how it kind of works better. But it's actually very simple. You save it, and of course to really see it, you need to print it out and actually hold it in your hand, to get the effect of how cool it is. So it's real simple to do in it and very powerful. This also has really cool tools like we'll do automatic face swaps. So basically you can bring multiple people in and switch their heads around on each other, or there's samples of, like, if you bring in a background that's like a statue, you could take a picture of somebody and you could automatically take their face and then stick it on the statue and even get the color right so it all kind of blends in. It also has actually the effects tool. The effects it actually has are pretty good too, and it actually supports bringing in Photoshop plugins or filters. I'm sorry, Photoshop filters, which you can get a lot of free ones online. They're not all the greatest things. You can find a lot of free ones that aren't that good, but there are some really cool ones. So under the effects tab, you filters, and they would just appear in here when you stick it into the program. Sorry, I was just told too, and I'm sorry, I forgot about this. We're actually going to do another webinar that's really going to focus on Photamate and its strengths, and that's kind of why I also kind of forgot about this. Why I just kind of want to show you an overview of this and not really go into detail, because we're going to do one, and it's probably be in a couple weeks. We don't have it all down yet what we're going to do, but when I want to do a webinar that really shows the strengths of what Photamate can do, because it has some very cool stuff in it. So yeah, I think for that's enough for now on the PhotoKey until we do that one. So keep an eye out for that. We'll get that posted, and it'll be in our emails, all that stuff, when we get it locked down when we're going to do the Photamate webinar and give you in depth on how Photamate works and some of the cool stuff it can do. So watch for that in a few weeks. So yeah, I think that about covers everything. If there's any other little questions, we got a few minutes. So if there's any particular questions you had or anything that maybe if you can put in the chat, I might be able to answer. I'd be happy to do that. If my guys here, give me any information, I will be happy to do that. But until then. Oh yeah, so somebody asked me if we could show how to do text on in PhotoKey. So let me just switch back over to PhotoKey here real quick. So yeah, text is very simple to do in PhotoKey. Basically, you just go to the text tool over on the category section here. You click Add Text, and then you can just start typing. So it's actually, as soon as I remember that worked, where did the text go? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I blanked on that. I forgot. So basically, what you do is you type your text into this here. I don't know. Let's just call it movie poster because I can't think of anything else right now. So you type into there, and it appears in there. So you type it into the window on the right side here, and then of course you can have all the controls of every font that's on your computer. It can use. You can have all the bold settings and italics. Change the size of it. Transparency. So you can adjust the transparency of it. It's easy to move wherever you want to move, and you can even adjust the angle of it, and of course the color too. You can select all the different colors that you want to. So the text is very easy to do inside that. And also another thing that does work if you want to create text, more fancy text, because it doesn't have, you can't do drop shadows or anything else with the text. You can do some good stuff, but not quite like that. So if you have another program, something like Photoshop is what I was trying to think of, something like Photoshop, you can create really fancy text or even 3D text in there and then bring it in as a layer or an overlay. So if you want to create something super fancy, you can do it that way. But if you just want simple text, it actually still can look pretty good. It's easy just to type it right in here. Just waiting to see if there's any other questions that we had. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So we're gonna. I hear the guys in chat are kind of answering some of the simpler questions, and also if you have any other, more in-depth questions or something too that you did get answered, you're welcome to always email us at sales@tubetape.com, and we're always happy to try to give you a hand with any things you're trying to understand better. So, yeah. So I was just asked if there was a comparison between what Photamate does and what PhotoKey has, and yes, there is. We're actually working with the people who make Photamate, kind of get their list down of what they have. So we're actually going to get that up. Should be in a couple days to kind of have a comparison chart for you on that. Let's see. So anything else we can talk about?
Just again, remind people what the recorded version will be. Along with all the links and project files.
Yeah. So.
On Facebook and on our website.
Okay. So I just wanted to remind you. Then we will have the recorded version up. Give us a few days just to get everything together, but we'll have the recorded version up. We'll have all the links that was set in the chat, all the links we had and all that stuff. They'll be both. We'll post those both on Facebook and our website, so those will be available for you to get again. So you can check it out and watch it again if you'd like, and see all the links we had for the YouTube videos and things like that. So then I think that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I did a good job of kind of explaining how all the cool things you can do. So I appreciate you guys coming in and watching it. So thanks very much, and I hope everybody has a great day out there.